Hello, sentient beings. It's Brad. I want to read to you a question I got from the internets. It goes like this. As my practice matures and as I go deeper and deeper in samadhi, I can't shake the feeling that the goal of Buddhist practice is annihilation of sentience. Non-duality is the new buzz concept, but in true non-duality there is no time, space, subject, object, experience, or experiencer. It is nothing. It is utter annihilation. So, what is the never been born, never will die state? Is it dreamless sleep, or is it a paradox and something we'll never be able to wrap our heads around? And the person also confessed to having death anxiety and stuff, like we all do. I have anxiety about my hair. It's like weird. So I answered him by saying, are you sentient now? Is there a you who is sentient? Or is sentience something that uses you as a way to express itself? I don't think the goal of Buddhism is the annihilation of sentience. I think if we're going to put it in those terms, it's the annihilation of the idea that there is something called you who produces or experiences sentience. But let's look at some of the weird things Dogon said about this idea of sentience. This is from Shobogenzo Senjo, which means washing. He says, water is never sentient or non-sentient. The body is never sentient or non-sentient. And all dharmas are also like this. Then in Sansui Gyo, the Mountains and Rivers Sutra, he says, the blue mountain is already beyond the sentient and beyond the insentient. The self is already beyond the sentient and beyond the insentient. And here's another from Shobogenzo Sansui Gyo, the Mountains and Rivers Sutra. This is a neat one. There are worlds of sentient beings in clouds. There are worlds of sentient beings in wind. There are worlds of sentient beings in fire. There are worlds of sentient beings in earth. There are worlds of sentient beings in the world of Dharma. There are worlds of sentient beings in a stalk of grass. And there are worlds of sentient beings in a staff. Wherever there are worlds of sentient beings, the world of Buddhist patriarchs inevitably exists in that place. From Daigo, Great Realization. What kind of being, sentient or non-sentient, could be incapable of innate intelligence? We must study this in practice. When there is innate intelligence, there is innate realization, there is innate verification, and there is innate training. This is from Kobushin, The Mind of Eternal Buddhas. Are fences and walls caused to appear through a process of production? I think probably creation would be probably the better word for that. I'm not sure why Mike Cross and Nishijima went with the word production, so let's go read it again. Are fences and walls caused to appear through a process of production, or is production caused to appear on the basis of fences and walls? So were you created, or does the existence of you mean that you invent creation to explain you? Should we see them, that's fences and walls, as sentient or insentient? And there's a lot of things about sentience in a chapter called Mujo Seppo, which is generally translated as the insentient preach the Dharma, but Nishijima and Cross translated as the non-emotional preach the Dharma. They just liked that non-emotional better than insentient. And the word jo kind of evokes the feeling of emotion, but it's usually translated as sentient. We should not learn that the manner in which the insentient preach the Dharma must necessarily be as in the case of the sentient. To suppose that the manner in which the insentient preach the Dharma might accord with the voices of the sentient, and with the manner in which the sentient preach the Dharma, and thus to wrest voices from the sentient world, and to liken them to the voices of the insentient world, is not Buddhism. The insentient preaching the Dharma may not always be sound as matter, just as the sentient preaching the Dharma is not sound as matter. Now, asking ourselves and asking others, we must endeavor to learn in practice what is the sentient state and what is the insentient state. This is also from Mujo Seppo, The Insentient Preach the Dharma. Sentient and insentient have never been clearly distinguished. Another from Mujo Seppo. Common and sacred, sentient and insentient are always, whether preached or not preached, within the orbit of intellectual consideration. And that one, I think, is the crux of the matter. Sentient or insentient are always within the bounds or world of intellectual creation. So they're just ideas. So the idea of sentience and the idea of insentience are notions we create in our minds. And we feel that we have sentience now, or that we are sentience now, and we project into an imaginary future insentience. So if I imagine my own death, I try to imagine insentience, but I can't imagine insentience. I can't imagine the non-existence of me, because I always put myself in there. So if I, for example, imagine death, I will try to imagine a place where I don't exist, but I also exist not existing, which is weird. So you can't imagine it. And a lot of people kind of solve this problem by saying, well, I'm not afraid of death because I won't know I'm dead anyway, which, is one way of looking at it. Although we don't know, maybe we do know when we're dead. But this idea of insentience, the idea that we are trying to annihilate sentience through our practice, there's nothing to annihilate. There is this experience which we label sentience. There is, something, and we've labeled it sentience, and we think we understand it because we put it in a box with a word wrapped around it, sentience. But we don't know what it is. All we know is that here is this experience. And as I said to the person who wrote the email, my supposition is that sentience uses me as a vehicle to express itself, rather than me using sentience or owning sentience or having sentience and being able, therefore, to annihilate sentience. So there's a little bit of weirdness for a Tuesday afternoon. I hope you enjoyed it. I will tomorrow be at the Angel City Zen Center doing the very final last reading from my book, Letters to a Dead Friend About Zen. So be there or be square. The reason I'm doing it on a Wednesday is Wednesday night is usually koan night, and this chapter happens to be about koans. And I left it to the last because it's very, very long. So we're going to be talking about some koans tomorrow night at Angel City Zen Center. Be there. Do it. Do it. Just go. Just go. And if you want to support me, you can donate to me via PayPal and Patreon. The links are below this video if you're watching it on YouTube, or go to YouTube and find the links and donate to me, because that's how I make my living and that's how I live and do the things I do with my sentience. So appreciate that. As always, we'll see you later. Bye.